me and Eddie really did not get along.
In real life?
In real life.
I did not know this.
Yeah. Like
okay.
we didn't get. But every single week before taping, we'd come together. We'd put our hands together. We'd bow and we'd pray before we go out there.
Before entering a conflict area, two men who simply couldn't stand one another joined hands in prayer. Real life, not a scene from a film. Malcolm, Eddie Griffin, and Jamal Warner put aside their personal animosity each week for 4 years in order to fight a battle that most people were unaware was taking place. This was not mere theater, it was survival. Eddie Griffin has been raising the alarm for more than 10 years. Man, whatever happened to integrity? Oh, how many brothers were able to wear? Calling out the emasculation program and Hollywood's covert campaign against Black men who are outspoken and don't bow down. It was serious business. However, even Eddie was unable to foresee the events involving his former co-star. Everything changed on July 20th, 2025. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, an actor best known for his role in the popular sitcom The Cosby Show, passed away. Eddie didn't merely give Malcolm a simple ribnad when he learned of his passing. He dropped a bombshell on Instagram, a post that was more than a lament for Malcolm. It revealed what had truly worn him down. "Today, my heart is heavy," he wrote. "What the world lost was a father, a son, a poet, a musician, an actor, a teacher, a writer, a director, a friend, and a warrior with whom I enjoyed fighting against the Hollywood machine, and occasionally against one another, since that's what brothers do. However, love always existed and continues to do so. Get that. We didn't work together," he said. "We went to war," he claimed. That is the language of soldiers. When someone is killed while battling an enemy, you say that. On the set of Malcolm and Eddie, the conflict began. They entered what they believed to be a battlefield, not a platform for true Black representation. Each script was like a game of chess. In my opinion, it was similar to moving from a prestigious university to a junior college. Because I was telling them that we could be humorous without acting in stereotypical ways, and well, nobody was particularly interested in that path. "That's not why we brought you here," they say. "We do this." A system that wanted them to play the clown was protested silently in every scene. Move like skilled primates. Malcolm had to deal with more than just creative disputes. He was engaged in a mental conflict. For the sake of views, they attempted to break and degrade America's favorite TV son. And that machine became icy when he refused. They came within 12 episodes of reaching the syndication jackpot, reaching 88 episodes. Generational wealth funds, but they cut the power. For what reason? Due to Eddie's and Malcolm's refusal to stay in their lane. Both of them discovered the true rules out here at that point. You are not going to win, but you can fight. You have the right to speak up, but they have more powerful weapons at their disposal, and they have one last chance if you start to become a threat and speak the truth aloud. The ultimate resolution. Despite our disagreements, we agreed that we would have a sweetation deal when we reached 100 episodes. Finally, they cut us off at 88 due to exhaustion. They had had enough of Eddie's antics and my arguments with the writers. Eddie has been yelling about this for years. His stand-up acts weren't comedy sets, they were intelligence drops. Reports from the enemy's position, and he didn't hold back, particularly when it came to the way Black men are portrayed in Hollywood. He intentionally referred to it as emasculation. Take a look at the pattern. Every significant Black male celebrity has at some point been forced to don a dress. You believe that to be arbitrary? No, that is conditioning. Take away his masculinity, give him some money and fame, and then watch the world applaud. But Eddie's warning about Cosby is the part that still chills people. He said it long before the circus of the media. Hollywood is a place where no Black man is clean. He was not speculating. The script was familiar to him. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Bill Cosby, and Michael Jackson. Every significant Black man who gained genuine influence was eventually embroiled in some scandal. The first reason they pursued Bill C? Something is done by a Black man. According to the report, John Jones' blacklist said black. It isn't white man Jones, though. If a white man does it, it's only a male. The timing was always suspicious and strategic. Careers were destroyed and legacies were twisted. "This is about a man," Eddie stated. "It's not about white man Jones." He then tore off the media game's cover. As you can see, white celebrities who are involved in scandals remain isolated individuals. The double standard isn't accidental though, because when it's a Black star, it becomes a stereotype, a trend, or a warning label. The goal of this psychological warfare is to keep Black entertainers in line and prevent them from acting inappropriately. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, however, ceased to play that game. and the machine pressed the kill switch as soon as he did. I'm sick of running for cover, and you're sick of being played and hustled? Even though it seems like we have it made, aren't we all sick of complaining about how difficult it is to be Black in America? Malcolm's life changed in the past year. The same guy who had spent decades playing it safe, abruptly, the tightrope between survival and truth ceased to hold back. His Instagram turned into a combat zone. Each post was a direct shot at the programming that Eddie had been urging for years. It was no longer art. The conflict was war. Malcolm began pointing fingers and criticizing the material that was being forced on Black viewers. The trauma masquerading as entertainment, the music, the messages. He said what many were afraid to say. The industry isn't solely focused on making money. It is mental control, and the people in charge are counting on us remaining divided, distracted, and unintelligent. Malcolm, however, was having none of it, and Hollywood couldn't have come at a worse moment. Finally, Epstein's network was gaining traction, and rumors of pervasive corruption were spreading farther and wider. Malcolm, Theo Huxtable himself, is now revealing the truth about what's really happening behind the velvet curtains and dropping poetic bombs. He wasn't merely discussing racism. The system was being exposed by him. This is his last chilling video. Malcolm had the appearance of a man who was running out of time, but his eyes told a different tale, expressing that artificial optimism while claiming to be returning soon. But you sensed it. That was not a message of return. It was a silent farewell. He vanished after 3 days, drowned near the Costa Rican coast. There were no witnesses, no foul play, just another accident that was reported while a truth teller was silenced for good. Eddie too saw the pattern. For years he had been recording it. For me and everyone else, life is out there living its best life. However, I wanted to remind you, as I remind myself, that there's always a reason to be happy, regardless of the circumstances. He never claimed that Cosby was guilty or innocent. The point was not that. Eddie was dissecting the plan of action. He outlined everything: how Cosby's attempt to acquire NBC was the catalyst for the accusations, how the tales endured for 3 decades, easily beyond the statute of limitations. The timing of the media blitz was too perfect. It is about destruction, not justice. First reputation, then legacy, and finally life. Michael Jackson's catalog is about to be completely taken over. Deceased, a prince defending his owners. Deceased. Whitney Houston rushed back, eager to share her tale. Deceased. Malcolm, the most adored Black TV son, is no longer with us. At the exact moment he became the loudest. Every time the same formula is used, and from the beginning, Eddie had been yelling this. He was explicit. They'll bury you if they can't smear you. They make sure you never speak again if tarnishing your reputation doesn't stop you. Malcolm was creating something that they couldn't allow to exist. Every sloppy stereotype that the industry had been pushing for years was turned on its head by his podcast, Not All Hood. The psychological warfare was broken by his poetry. In addition to challenging Hollywood, his interviews made connections to larger structures designed to destroy Black souls and minds. He was also acting credible throughout. They were most frightened by that. His name was Theo Huxtable. The trust was in him. He was the one who loved. And they start looking for ways to stop a man like that from speaking the truth. You cannot use a feeble smear campaign to destroy America's favorite TV son. A man who is too adored, too well respected, and too well connected to be clean cannot be placed on a blacklist. Bill Cosby has, sent a number of his siblings to college on his own thanks to the decades of work he has accumulated. Thus, the machine uses its final weapon when career sabotage fails and character hits don't stick. Eddie Griffin shared a tribute to Malcolm-Jamal Warner that rocked the internet 3 days after his body was discovered in the waters off Costa Rica. Not only due to his words, but also to the way he delivered them. Today, I feel a heavy heart. What the world lost was a father, a son, a poet, a musician, an actor, a teacher, a writer, a director, a friend, and a warrior with whom I enjoyed fighting the Hollywood machine and occasionally each other, because that's what brothers do. However, love always existed and continues to do so. It isn't grief, that's code. An entertainer is not what Eddie described. Malcolm was referred to by him as a warrior. We didn't work together, he said. They went to war, he said. He did not refer to it as an industry in Hollywood. The machine, he said. When discussing systemic oppression, activists use the same term. This was not an emotional outburst. The confirmation was given. Eddie was speaking directly to people who are aware of the warning signs. He informed us that Malcolm lost his life in the conflict Eddie had been revealing for years, and it was louder because of the timing. The majority of celebrities wait for hours or even days before responding. It's not Eddie who writes, it's the publicists. His homage struck almost immediately, unvarnished and unadulterated, like a man who wasn't surprised. Creator. As a conscious artist of color, you have to constantly choose your battles and eventually make a firm decision about your boundaries. He waited for the call because he knew Malcolm had stopped playing it safe, but what are the things that you definitely stand for? He had stopped being cautious in his movements. He was attacking from every side in his last months, revealing the truth on his podcast, posting ethereal poetry on Instagram, and drawing connections between deep-seated corruption, oppression, and entertainment. Malcolm was going too far. Once a controlled rebel, he suddenly became a direct threat. And Eddie's tribute was his way of saying that the machine did exactly what he had predicted. But you have to understand Michelle Thomas, the woman who shaped Malcolm, in order to comprehend why he completely changed the course of events in that last year. Malcolm was forever altered by her passing in 1998. This wasn't a Hollywood romance. Michelle was more than his co-star. She served as his tranquility, his fulcrum, and eventually his celestial protector. On The Cosby Show, she played Theo Huxtable's smart, sweet, ride-or-die girlfriend, Justine Phillips. Off-screen, however, their relationship was more profound than any screenplay could convey. Michelle arrived in Hollywood with strong morals, having been born to Caribbean parents in Boston. She wasn't one of those young actors who would sacrifice themselves for a part. Malcolm fell in love with her when she carefully chose her projects, advocated for representation, and never sold out. Not only her appearance, but also her values. Michelle resisted the industry's attempts to stifle young Black talent. She was evidence that you could hold onto your soul in a setting that was meant to tear it away. Their 5-year relationship was more than just love. It was a blueprint. Malcolm learned from Michelle how to maintain his sense of reality in a manufactured world, and how to maintain his composure while vying for attention. But then cancer struck. When Michelle was diagnosed, she was only 28 years old. She also made the decision to choose grace despite death. Just clarity without fear or resentment. Malcolm was literally in the hospital bed with her when she took her last breath, holding her as she passed away. He was broken by that moment, but he was also strengthened. After that, Malcolm carried Michelle with him for 27 years. One question influenced every decision he made, every position he took in public, and every role he played. What would Michelle do? Memories weren't the point. It had to do with survival. Because having an anchor is necessary to stay clean in this line of work, and in a sea of snakes, Michelle served as his compass and anchor. But then something broke during his last year. Something was altered. After balancing Michelle's morals with Hollywood survival for decades, the man finally gave up the act. Malcolm ceased playing the game and sugarcoating. He wasn't just venting when he mentioned in his most recent Instagram posts that he was sick of running for shade. He was liberating himself. Malcolm made the decision to put the truth before his safety. Michelle Thomas would have been proud of this kind of unvarnished honesty. His resistance was no longer filtered. It was his. By doing this, he turned into the thing that Hollywood is most afraid of, a man they were powerless over. Too innocent for the industry to tamper with, like Michelle, and like her, too risky for the machine to tolerate. He made the most expensive decision. Eddie Griffin was all too familiar with that decision. It was more than just a farewell in Eddie's tribute. It was calling it out for what it was. A takedown, not a chance, not a tragic accident, but the silent death of a fighter who fought a war that most people are still unaware is taking place. Do you really believe Malcolm died at random? Now let's be honest, Malcolm. There was more to Jamal Warner's drowning. They removed him. He became too brazen, too loud, and too intelligent. His poetry on Instagram revealed the brain programming. Racial stereotypes were dispelled by his podcast. His interviews exposed the part played by the entertainment industry in institutionalized oppression. He was removing the mask from the device. Eddie Griffin understood the significance of that. His homage was more than sentimental. It was a strategic move. Eddie validated what others could only mutter by referring to Malcolm as a warrior, that anyone who challenges the machine's hold on Black stories and minds is targeted, that the war is real, and that there are casualties. Ultimately, the passing of Malcolm-Jamal Warner validates Eddie's most dire caution. No conscious Black entertainer in Hollywood gets away with it. Those who don't follow the rules don't leave. Eddie made sure they didn't get away with it this time, even though the machine claimed another one. Malcolm's voice will never be silenced. His struggle will never be forgotten. Warrior, may you rest in peace. To ensure you don't miss anything they don't want you to know, please hit the bell, like this video, and subscribe for more breakdowns. If it shocked you as much as it did us, leave a comment with your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next